Good evening, everybody. This is Andreana, and I'm transmitting from Milan, Italy. This is my first episode in English, and I'm very emotional, like the first time I recorded my first podcast in Italian. Welcome to everybody, and thank you for your listening. And this is for you. So here we are, and this is the first episode in English of Radio Mirti. If this is the first time for you as well, I invite you to visit our website, and inside the home page you can find a presentation where you can understand and know how this radio is born and what is the goal of this radio. You have understood that we speak about Italy, and we see Italy in a new way, since we speak about economy, management, and so on. So we would like to give you an image, maybe new for many of you listening to us now, and giving you an image as a country where you can do a good business. So you know that when you face a new market, population and the culture different than yours, the first thing to do is try to understand where you are going. So try to understand the people, the mentality, the asset of industries, and so on. Everybody has its own idea of the world, of the life, of the things in general. When we think about a foreign country, of course, our opinion depends on our experience, both direct or indirect. Maybe you could visit this country or simply read about or watching a TV program. The truth is that on countries, we all have some recurring thoughts, and there are some recurring descriptions that convince the rest of the world. Consequently, we discover that all over the world people say more or less the same recurring things about a country. There are no exceptions about. It's a sort of unique thought. I personally had two fortunes in life. First, a French father and a mother, family with Argentinian mix inside. Second, I started traveling very young. At the beginning on holiday only, but starting from a certain point of my life on business, and I travel so much on business. It means that bilingual with the additional foreign languages I learned, I could understand very soon that a thing can be said in different ways, different languages, that people can cook the same ingredients in different ways, that you can find polite and unpolite people anywhere. I think it was something, but I understood its importance when a little bit older. One of the most difficult things for me, still today, is discussing with people who are convinced that outside their borders the world is a shit. Often they never traveled, but the problem is not having or not having the experience in traveling, because many cannot afford, maybe for financial difficulties. Even if internet nowadays, internet gives so many opportunities to learn, to be informed about things of the life and of the world. In this case, the problem is the absence of attitude in listening, learning new things, going in deep of the things. Smaller their minds are, closer the border of their heaven is. So sometimes they don't go over the garden. And this problem is distributed equally all over the world. It's not a feature of a population more than others. During my travels left and right, I realized that Italy is one of the countries people love, but also negatively judge or linked to very old ideas. And one of the most funny things is finding so many people convinced that, for example, our music is O Sole Mio, and think that we eat breakfast, lunch and dinner pizza. I try to reflect about the huge gap between this common thought and the real things of this country. The purpose was to reply to the most important question we can ask in front of any fact. The question is, why? When you say why, when you wonder why, you start making your brain working. It doesn't mean that you find the right, necessarily the right reply, but at least you start thinking. You work with your mind. We all have an ideal image we desire people have about us. Then there is a real image we give. And sometimes the gap is so important. And when this gap is too wide and you still don't realize it, you need a doctor, a good one. But a country is different than a person. Because a country gives its image mainly through different channels. There is not a single person with its behavior. So when we speak about countries, populations, usually the channels are the communication channels, the mainstream, or the experience a country had maybe with the population of the country. I explained better. I'm meaning historical reasons, no? Maybe a population has a bad or good historical memory about another population, and so during the years and centuries, it's possible they have difficulties to change the idea, the mentality, because they don't forget. When I think, for example, about USA, I imagine the poor Italian men and women moving there in search of a job. The first restaurants that appeared over there probably used to cook only spaghetti and pizza, so nowadays the common people think that we only eat spaghetti and pizza. But I don't mention the critical and delicate matter of mafia. This is another thing. We don't speak about this because here there are some historical arguments, and I think there is more people. There are more people more informed and technical than me. But I make a different example, a contrary example. All over the world, the common people think that California means living like in a movie. Of course, it's not correct. Usually, people think that the main capital cities represent the rest of the nation. Paris is not France, Rome is not Italy, and so on. New York is not USA. This podcast radio, as you know, is the channel of our advisory company called Mirti Finance. So it's obvious we are not a touristic influencer here, but deal about management, companies, finance. So you probably you are wondering what can Andreana do for you? I would like simply, in the next episodes, to give you a concrete and up-to-date image of this unusual country and at the same time all instruments to start thinking of Italy as a place to close good businesses. Here, in Italy, you can sell your products or your companies or your real estate. You can purchase, you can invest. But I do understand that sometimes the geographical distance added to some preconceptions could stop you. Above all, when you are not a big entrepreneur, or worse, a startup. Of course, distributed all over the world, there are big advisory companies, but sometimes they are too expensive for small entrepreneurs and impossible for startuppers. No? We are not so big. We are old. We have 30 years of experience at your disposal. We are transparent, very colloquial people. We work well with also an important network, international network, and do understand that sometimes many businesses can be good for you. You are not Italian. Maybe you are living very far from here, so you need something in proportion to your organization, to your reality. I would like to tell you not to forget to use this radio, because we give you free space to be interviewed, to speak about your company, profession, projects. You can also easily write us and ask any question, any doubt, any curiosity you have about Italy. So with this first episode, it is clear that you will discover places, features and industries and so on. Are you listening? This is my cat, one of the 8 cats. If you have heard about us through the presentation in the homepage, you already know that this is a meowing, above all meowing radio. So when I record, usually this particular cat, whose name is Rudy, enjoys to disturb our transmission. But now everybody of our old and Italian listener are very worried when I record something and they don't hear from him. So they ask about him. Before leaving you, going to the end of this first and very easy episode, I start telling you that Italy is a vertical country. Start giving a look to the map. Give a look to the map, to the physical map, and you will discover why inside this country, that is not the biggest on the planet, you find so many cultures different one each other, so many different approach to the life, because the population is connected, very closely connected to the territory. So give a look. We start from the Alps, so high mountains. We arrive quite to the north of Africa climate and weather and territory. So my personal request for this week is to observe the map of our country, that is Italy. Let me thank you for your time, for listening to this first episode. Our next appointment will be next week. Usually we have weekly podcast, and if you subscribe, you will receive the notifications. Thank you very much by me, by my team. Andreana is so happy. Is so happy and emotional. Thank you again. Ciao, ciao, and hear you next week. Ciao.